Onyx Boox Note Air 3C, and this is my full review. I've been using the Note Air 3C from Onyx Boox as my daily planner and my productivity tablet at work and at home for the last 3 weeks, and I'm very impressed. You can see the journey that I've gone on with this device in lots of my content on this channel, including in-depth live streams, feature demonstrations, and discussions of where this sits in the current state of e-ink tablets. This is undoubtedly one of the best e-ink tablets to date, and this is the latest in a line of devices from Onyx Boox, which have enjoyed massive popularity. Boox are doing their very best to dispel the myth that e-ink is slow, and they're doing that better than any other company. They've found a way to make e-ink respond with lightning fast speeds and high refresh rates with very little loss of clarity or image retention. And they've put in some higher end processors here, making this a device which spans the categories of e-reader, note-taking tablet, and productivity machine. Key features of this are this matte and textured screen protector here. It makes it a wonderful place for reading and writing and drawing. There's very little glare as well, and it's got a great pen and screen feel. It is an enjoyable surface to write on. It's got that tactile feel of quality pencils. And the tools are improving all the time. For instance, we now have a proper pencil with both pressure and tilt. It has frozen up. It does it more often than previous Boox devices did.
I have since found that this only happens with the new pencil with texture with both pressure and tilt. So for now, just stay away from using that tool if you don't want your device to crash. I have let Boox know, and I'm sure they will fix this, and I will do a video at some point drawing on the Note Air 3C, so at that point I hope to be able to tell you that that is now solved. But for now, use the older pencil or just use the pen tools, and it is still a great place to draw on. And you can be sure that it isn't just going to crash and lose your notes.
And it thinks it's fully restarted, although it is there. Oh, and it didn't save that note I just made. Don't know whether I'll leave that crash in the sake of fairness, or the thing is, you see those things in live streams. For the sake of flowing this video review along, maybe not. No, you see, it doesn't. Some shading will make it think that scribble is on, so I'll turn that off. Okay, it's been a bit of a surprise. It's crashed twice whilst I've been drawing on it. Okay, a few frustrating little bits with it today. What I will say is I have used this at work, and I have only found it actually crash with me when I've been doing a live stream and when I was filming this video. So it has been stable. It has worked perfectly fine for my use case at work. And I did use it for 2 solid weeks, and I did not find that it crashed. It woke up every single time, and you can see my 2 weeks of planning, if you like, here as my notebook. It did what it claims to do, and I didn't get any crashes during the week. I wonder if there's just something with that notebook, with the new pen tools, that's perhaps making it a bit unstable, and that they will fix that in an update. But although those pen tools are improved, they're not as good as the best in the class. On, for instance, the Scribe, the pencil tool is fantastic, and the Remarkable too. The note-taking app is fully featured. It's good for drawing and for organizing all of your notes. I really want to see Boox bring a drawing-focused app, such that large amounts of notes, that's the issue there, that actually drawing is a lot more strokes than simply writing would be. So we also need an app, not just that can handle layers and all of the colors the thing can produce and lots of different textured brushes. We need an app that's stable there for drawing as well. It is a fully featured note-taking app with all of these tools for you to be able to link between pages or between files even. And what's more, the screen response is lightning fast. And please remember that that is in the Boox note-taking app. In other drawing apps, you don't get that kind of fast response. Within the note-taking app, it's one of the fastest latencies on the market. Latency means the time between the pen actually hitting the screen and the ink appearing. You don't even need to write in the box, for example, to get the handwriting recognition to work. When you're in the handwriting recognition keyboard, the whole thing is just a canvas for writing. So you can see that the screen response is just nowhere near as good in Sketchbook or any third-party app designed for LCD screens. I do also love the vertical screen mode. You could pair this with a mechanical keyboard, a Bluetooth mechanical keyboard, or indeed a wired one that could go into the USB here, and this could become a really nice place for typing. I don't have a mechanical keyboard in front of me just now, but I can show you just how quickly it connects. And the screen response is very good for typing too. You have one of the best stations for typing on e-ink around. And I also like that you can continue to use the on-screen keyboard and use the voice recognition and then just use the keyboard for editing the text, something I use all the time. The Kaleido free screen is wonderful for different productivity apps. But if you were going to be using productivity apps for like more than 90% of the time, I would recommend having a look at the Tab Ultra C Pro instead. It has a clearer screen finish, it has a built-in keyboard, a faster processor, and an increase in RAM. And that's going to give you that smoother experience with clearer visuals on a productivity-orientated device. That being said, it's still a better productivity device than most rival e-ink tablets. Overall, I'm rating the Note Air 3C as above the Boox Tab X for professionals, and that's the larger 13.3-inch device, and it's an amazing tablet. This device can be so very versatile for you. The Boox Super Refresh and the Kaleido free screen are a match made in heaven. You can just see the way it's clearing out that white space immediately without having to do a full screen refresh. But for work, really, it's the Tab Ultra line with their keyboard case, and now even a trackpad on the Pro model, which is the home of e-ink for productivity. So stay tuned for a video where I'll compare the Boox Tab Ultra C with the Note Air 3C. I personally cannot wait for Boox to bring us a 25.3 e-ink monitor with this GPU acceleration, so that we can all use the best of the operating systems for professionals, so use Windows or use Mac OS, and surely that can't be too far away. You know, at that point, then the battery life isn't something to worry about anymore, because it is the case that for certain apps, generally when the screen is running at very high refresh rates, then you're going to be using the battery life quite quickly. So for just reading as a Kindle, actually it's quite low battery drain, and certainly for having the brightness of the lights above 50% increases the battery drain quite considerably. And you're going to want to run the lights reasonably bright most of the time because of the darkness of the colour e-ink screen. I tend to run them about 2/3. Some new features in the latest generation of their software, which will be coming to all devices that are less than about 3 years old, are the AI, what they call smart scribe features. I really like the quick and generally accurate text recognition, although I will say the best handwriting recognition is just in the Boox keyboard, which you can use to enter into any text box. But you also have a feature like shape perfection, which allows you just to hold down the pen at the end of any stroke and you get a shape or a line which conforms to a perfect shape. You can also use fill as well, which is just a nice to have, and this is going to let you make some quite nice diagrams and drawings as well. I also like the strike through erase, which just means any kind of scribble is interpreted by the note-taking app as a just delete that please, and any sort of ring round is interpreted as a select that stuff please, which is quite nice. So you don't need to go into a tool on the side here, or indeed even turn the pen. There's not an eraser on this one, but there is a quicker way to get access to just delete this stuff please. And this makes it a much more capable and intuitive place to make your notes. That means it's a good device for thinking and decision making for professionals. The Note Air 2 Plus was already a great place for reading and learning, but I'm actually going to rate this higher for reading. The colour screen has made it even more usable for academic and educational texts. And one is just generally a benefit of Boox is that you can go to a browser and download your PDFs this way. It's just a nice place for documents that have colour figures, for instance, and you can really easily enjoy this top and bottom article mode if you're wanting to read something which is designed to be read A4. That being said, for reading you will need to temper your expectations for battery life. It will not last for the weeks that the Kindle Scribe will last for instance, and the darker background of the screen. Although I actually think that the blacks are dark enough to give it enough contrast between the greyish background of the white space, and that gives it enough contrast to be a really comfortable place to read. There's definitely some personal preference to come into play here between whether you prefer this darker background and colour e-ink or the lighter background of the black and white screen. I am actually rating this as one of the best devices for reading, and just hear me out. Sure, that colour e-ink screen is not perfect, but I think there is a subjective choice there. The other best screen for reading is the 300 dpi screen on the Kindle Scribe, and this is 300 dpi still in the black and white, but it's slightly lower contrast with the white space. And the issue is for you guys as consumers is that it's not easy to find places where you can actually see these great devices in person, and that's a marketing opportunity for Boox in my opinion. Well, I did see they do have some in a store in New York City, so if you're in the area, They seem to stock them in B&H Photo as well, so I'm not sure if they'll have them in store, but they've certainly got them online. Perhaps you could ring and find out. The other option, of course, is to take advantage of one of the great returns policies in Amazon, for instance. But I digress. But what is not subjective is that for many purposes, having colour is a helpful thing to have. For instance, viewing magazines or reading academic or professional documentation, or of course, reading online. And the Boox PDF Reader is one of the best in its class. It may take you a little bit of time to get your head around all of the features that it has. For example, the article mode, which can let you go into this top and bottom mode. And now they've introduced Smart Scribe, where I can highlight whole passages, and then I can edit how much I want to actually keep into that passage. And I can highlight them with different colors, and attached to that I can add a separate annotation, have it recognize, or of course use the audio to write this out. And then all of these will be kept in my table of contents, along with any scribble notes that I choose to make, is just kept as notes on top of the page. See my annotations with the thing I've highlighted and the text that I've written. And you can see every page that I've written on will be here in this handwriting menu, and I can just select the ones I want and I can export those. I can also filter these highlights by color here as well. There's really powerful reading tools on this device, and that's why it's such a great reader. And it is, in this size, for books at least, it is the lighter and more portable device. I have really loved having this as my planner. It is thinner and lighter than the alternatives, and it makes it a pleasure to slip in and out of the bag. It wakes back up in seconds and returns to wherever you were in whichever PDF you were. So return back to my planner like this. Planning in the PDF is an absolute pleasure. It's a wonderful place to make your notes. And I can now add in blank pages, or I can link out to other web locations or other documents. So my final verdict on the Note Air 3C. This is great value. Sure, it's not cheap. It's 550 euros or $500, but you get it with some extra tips and a case as well. I think it's good value. And if you're certain that you just want a large ink reader, then sure, save yourself some money and go buy a Kindle Scribe. That will be a Kindle that you can write on, and it will do for some basic note-taking stuff. If you're certain you just want note-taking, then again, save the money and go buy a Remarkable 2. But when you get either of those and you fall in love with the ink for your professional life, which you probably will, you'll wish you had spent a little more and you'd got an Onyx Boox. And really the only competition for the Note Air 3C is from Boox itself. If you do want something smaller or larger, or you fancy a device with a keyboard case and a little higher performance, well, you can check out the full lineup of Boox devices on my channel. Get started with these videos now, and there's links in the description for all of them. Or of course, you can just get this one from the links below, because this is where the value is at right now. Thanks so much for watching and supporting the channel.